Welcome to the Fallout New Vegas portion of my Fallout project. This is the second of the two sort of mod list and what's going to be in the game. Obviously videos are optional, just in case anybody's wondering sort of why I've included what I've included and why I'm doing or not doing what I'm doing or not doing. Just a little bit of insight. So, same thing as before, this is from the Nexus Mod Manager. I just copied the load list from the clipboard and adjusted things a little bit to break them up. So, obviously, New Vegas, this is the base game. DeadMoney, HonestHearts, Honest, that is one tongue twister for me, probably because I've been speaking very quickly for the past 15-20 minutes. Anyway, I do have the 4 main DLCs. I do not have the Gunrunner's Arsenal or the starter. I think they're the starter packs. Realistically, I didn't see the starter pack adding enough to justify really getting it, and I just sort of never got the Gunrunner's Arsenal. So anyway, what I'm going to be actually playing. I have played through the entire game before. I have finished it on multiple factions, or finished it as multiple factions, so I'm definitely not going into this one blind. DeadMoney I will not be doing. I'm including it just for the sort of ease of mod simplicity. A lot of mods these days have sort of, let's go ahead and include everything, that way I don't have to worry about this one thing that I'd really like to have added. So, including it, not playing it. I don't like it. The first half of it is incredibly frustrating. The second half of it is incredibly, well, not really frustrating, but it feels like a cleanup job. At the end of it, I was pretty much saying, okay, I'm finally done with this. Let's get back. And then it's like, oh, well, crap, I've got another half of this expansion to go through. So, enough of that. I'm not going to be doing it. HonestHearts. Possibly if I have time. Obviously at this point I'm probably going to be pretty time crunched. I've played through it before. I think it's a pretty solid DLC. It's a little short in my opinion. The way I'm thinking my character is going to be played is maybe not exactly conducive to having to go through that. So I'm going to leave it as sort of optional. Same thing, Lonesome Road. Lonesome Road, I think, is one of the better executed ones. You can go to and from sort of the main world. The DeadMoney, HonestHearts, one of the sort of major problems I have is that once you get to there, you can't come back until you finish it. I feel it sort of locks your character into having to finish that. So, Lonesome Road, possibly, I'll see what happens. OldWorldBlues, this is by far my favorite expansion, DLC, whatever. To me, it's sort of the same thing. Definitely going to be playing through that. I'll leave it at there to avoid too many spoilers, but lots and lots of fun. Much enjoyment was had. So anyway, as with Fallout 3, I've got bug fixes. This is sort of one of the major bug fixes that's floating around. Just going through sort of fixing the floating rocks, fixing the broken scripts, that sort of thing, helping minimize the crashes as much as possible. Environmental mods, ELECTRO-CITY adds lights to the towns and the roads, which, when you turn around and use realistic Wasteland lighting, makes things basically cleaner. Sort of takes away the odd filters that they put in for some strange reason, and it also makes nights pretty much pitch black. You're not going to be able to see the hand in front of you, or the Deathclaw or horde of super mutants that are coming to try to eat you. Yes, much fun there. The Eve FNV, this is purely a visual effects mod. You'll definitely see what it does probably by the third gunfight that I get into. I'll just leave it there. Burning campfire just makes it so the campfires will actually light when you use them. The big one, Realisem mod, Project Nevada. This adds pretty much anything and everything that you can possibly want. Implants, game rebalances, gun rebalances, equipment rebalances, armor rebalances, power armor rebalances. Again, I'll probably touch on why I think the sort of vanilla power armor, well, to be blunt, it sucks. But I'll explain some of that in game, or I might do a separate video. Anyway, not now. Weapon mods expanded. This is taking the sort of idea of, okay, well, we've got a couple of mods for a couple of guns. This puts a lot of mods on every gun. Options, options, options. Of course, there's basically one mod for each expansion, and a World of Pain patch, Project Nevada patch. Everything needs a patch. These two, the Seafinder fix is the Alchemedes super weapon. Yes, of course, spoilers. Basically, in the base game, there's a quest that you can do that will get you a space-based. Basically, it is a space-based laser super weapon that does a whopping 150 points of damage once per day, and has about a 5 to 7 second charge up that you can only use outside. The targeting device is 15 pounds. Right. This, between the sort of assorted bugs, bug scripting glitches, NPC AI stupidity, that sort of stuff, these two go in and fix all, I don't want to say all of it, but a very large majority of it. It knocks the targeting device down to 2 pounds, which is a whole lot more reasonable. Increases the damage, increases the splash a little bit, and makes it so that when you pull the trigger, it actually fires. Maybe, possibly. It should come into play at least some point. Anyway, the big one, realistic weapon damage, and the DLC update patch thing for that. As with Fallout 3, this makes it so that when you shoot a super unit in the head, they actually die. Consequently, when a super unit goes to shoot you in the head, you best find cover or you're going to be reloading. Obviously, I'm going to be playing this as a I believe the term is non-Iron Man playthrough, so reloading, yes. I will be playing it in hardcore mode, so all of the survival essentials will be present, as well as ammo having weight. HUD and utilities. This is basically MCM from, I believe it's backported from Skyrim. OHUD is a pretty much just additional heads-up display options. One of those just sort of nice things to have. Chasm is autosave manager. Fallout, even though New Vegas does crash a little bit less than Fallout 3, it does still crash, and if you haven't hit one of your sort of magical, mystical autosave points, you could be replaying 30 or 45 minutes easily. So this pops in autosaves every 5 minutes. And obviously, if you get into a point that you sort of get chain killed, it's happened to me twice in testing. This lets you get out of it without having to revert an hour or so back. Sortomatic, this is just an auto sorting framework. Anyway, onto new content. World of Pain again. Adds more sewers, adds more things trying to kill you in the sewers. New Vegas interiors. Same thing as the DC edition. Adds more things behind the doors that used to be boarded up. All in all, these probably add, I don't know, 20 or 30 hours of content. Realistically, though, I'm not going to get to them, but it's nice to be able to actually open that door and say, oh, hey, here's something behind it. New Bison Steve Hotel. In my previous playthrough, I did use this mod. However, once I had, or by the time I had added it, I think I was already level 23, and pretty much just walked through the fast travel to the locations, grabbed the stuff, and I was done in 45 minutes, if that. So it's going to be a little bit different actually playing through it sort of as the character develops. After School Special, this is a nice little mod that adds a player house with the all-important sorting options. You can get it relatively early, but it takes a while to flesh out, especially if you don't have the 1,500 or 15,000 caps or so to finish the house. Anyway, moving on. Free site open, outside bets. These 5 or 6, actually these 8, go in and sort of add or flesh out or try to finish to the best of the modder's ability, cut content from the base game. Apparently there was a lot of cut content that was cut for sort of time or other reasons. This goes back in and re-enables as much as possible. So, quality of life improvements. Obviously, with Project Nevada, a backpack is going to be a pretty big necessity. The way I'm thinking it's going to be set up, I have played through it a little bit just to make sure that all the mods work and all the settings are pretty much good to go. You're going to be able to carry about 4 things and your primary kit. So backpack's sort of essential. It does have a drawback. Adds a nice sort of trade-off. The bottle that water lets you bottle water from water bottles, obviously, but primarily health remover. Otherwise, you end up chugging the relatively free water instead of stim packs. Essentials, this just tags some NPCs as unkillable for when you're playing hard mode. Basically, it sort of fixes the AI stupidity. Not the biggest fan of the mini games. This takes care of it. Easy unlocking, easy hacking. As long as you've got the skill, you hit force lock and it pops open. Easy hacking reduces it to 1 option. The important thing is, though, you still actually have to have the skill. It just cuts out the mini games. Improved ammo ingredients. Pretty much does what it says. It scatters extra ammo, gunpowder, primers, cases, lead. Sort of fills out the world's odd boxes with ammo loot. Delay DLC, this just pushes the DLC back to something a little bit more sane instead of walking out the front door and finding out, oh hey, this major project that a level basically 20 or 30 should be taking is available for you now. Faster terminals just makes terminals go clicky a little bit faster, actually a lot faster. Tutorial killer, at this point, yes, I do know how the factions work, I do know how VATS works. Let's move on. So, when it actually comes to sort of new armor and whatnot, I do have advanced recon. This adds power armor, or it adds functionality such as night vision and thermal vision to power armor, as well as a couple of, not really hard to get, but a couple pieces of sort of medium armor midway through the game. Not at the point where it's, oh well, I've got one more thing to do and finish the game, let's go ahead and give you this stuff now. I think it puts it in a nice spot. And also a second backpack option. So, this actually took a lot longer than the Fallout 3 one. Probably because there's a couple more mods. Anyway, again, sort of after you get through the make the game harder without being just outright stupid, and the sort of quality of life and effects fixes, there's only maybe 5 or 6 mods that actually add a significant amount of new content. So, as with Fallout 3, this is going to be a relatively vanilla playthrough, although, again, I'm going to use the term deadly or vanilla. I think it's what I used before. So, Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get this project actually on the road. Again, as I mentioned before, this is a tentative list. I do have one more mod that I want to add, and I'm going to actually be able to sit on this one for a couple of weeks and just make sure that, yes, I do in fact have all the mods that I want. Again, New Vegas is a little bit more stable than Fallout 3, so a little bit more flexible, but again, I don't want to be going in and saying, oh right, let's add these 30 to 40 mods when I'm midway through the game. That's just asking for trouble. So, that was actually really long. Okay, so, with that said and done, obviously the New Vegas playthrough isn't going to be happening, isn't going to be starting for at least another month, realistically a month and a half. So, if you just want to see New Vegas, sorry, you're going to have to wait for me to get through Fallout 3, but let's go see how Fallout 3 plays, especially with a couple of mods. So, until then, this has been me. Stay safe.